Now, it's been a day filled with anxiety for many South Africans, and most especially the families of the soldiers that have meant to return to South Africa. But one can't imagine the emotions that they are experiencing now being back on home soil.
Well, we have gotten to see them, Katlego, but we are going to get a chance to have a conversation with them once the minister has addressed them. But you can imagine that it is a sense of relief, especially with regards to what has occurred building up to this time. You'll remember that about 14 of the soldiers had passed away during that mission that they were on DRC. You'll remember also that some of the humanitarian organizations coming out to say that the situation in DRC was very difficult, and they even spoke about the sort of scenes that they experienced on the ground. So you can imagine that this has got to be a relief for the soldiers to finally make their way to the home soil. And, you know, to get more details to this, I'm going to bring in Onika to speak to us about what has taken place. She is a spokesperson for the minister, and we are, of course, anticipating that the minister is going to be speaking to the soldiers. Great relief for these soldiers to come back home?
We are very relieved indeed, because we've been expecting them since this morning, and now they are finally home and we're excited.
How many soldiers have returned? How has that, can you take us through the logistics?
Yes, now we've received the first group, 249. We have got well over 2,004 soldiers that were deployed to Summit DRC. So they are going to be arriving in batches. And we're expecting that this process will conclude by the month end of June.
And we know the process has taken some time, because the first part was to get some of the equipment and so on. When is the next phase going to kick in? Do we know?
No, the craft is going to go back and come back after 2 days. And this process is supposed to be in terms of the timetable that was set by the chief, the general, is that we will have to roll this after every 2 days until we complete. We're expecting to have 9 trips altogether.
And in terms of the soldiers that have arrived, what is the process now that they've touched ground? And I mean, you can see most of them on their phones, happy to be speaking to their families and so on. What is the process now?
Yes, the process now is demobilization. They are going to go to our base in Bloemfontein, where the process will take place, including the psycho-social support. And they are now already talking with the family, but they'll only be integrated with the families after 3 to 4 days. And we're expecting now that if there are soldiers that might need extra support, we'll still have to assess that. But for now, they're going to be at a base where they will be go through demobilization for about 4 days, as I've already said. And from there, then they'll be reintegrated back to their different units and then to their families.
So I know that the families have been waiting for this the whole day today. They've spoken about the sort of impact this has had on them. So I'm sure they want to see them almost immediately. Is there a window where they can interact with them before that time, or is it only after this time?
They are already interacting with their families through cell phones, telling them that we have touched down. They're probably seeing them now on the news that indeed they have touched down. So, but families do also know that in defense there are protocols, and one of those is that they need to go through a demobilization process, which is what is going to take place from now until the next 4 days.
And just as I close, I know the minister is still going to speak to us about the details, but there were people that had passed away during this mission. Some of them were friends to some of these soldiers. Will there be any interaction with some of those families that had lost their loved ones?
The interaction with the families of the fallen soldiers, 14 of them, has been taking place since the day the incident happened in January. If you remember that we have deployed the chaplaincy to various areas across the country, and we have also provided different types of support just over and above the chaplaincy support. We have helped the families to bury their loved ones, and we continue to interact with them. Just on the 29th, we had the Peacekeepers Day in Bloemfontein, where we were joined by those families. They interacted with the minister, and the minister committed to them that we'll still continue to support them, especially the children with the education support.
Lastly, are they leaving from Gauteng to Bloemfontein tonight?
Yes, they are leaving to Bloemfontein now because the preparations in terms of accommodation and other logistics have been sorted in Bloemfontein. So from now, the minister is going to address them, and immediately then they will be transported to Bloemfontein.
Anika, thank you very much for your time. Well, as you can hear there, Katleho, just great details with regards to what is going to take place. The minister is going to address some of these soldiers, and I want you to see there's quite a number of them. We understand that it's going to be 9 trips for all total to be able to get everyone to come back to the South African soil. Of course, this means that this peace mission is on hold, or rather ends for this time. But we know that families have been affected quite greatly, those who have lost their loved ones and so on, also being having been affected. Now we're hearing that interaction continues between the families as well as some of the as well as the SANDF. But for now, we know that there's going to be a sense of debrief where they're going to Bloemfontein, which we understand that's where they're going to be sleeping tonight. And in that debrief, they'll be able to be reunited with their families. At this point, we could see them on their cell phones, we could see that interaction, but they'll only get to see their families once this debrief has taken place.